All right, Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And we are here once again. We're going to get right into it. As you can see in the title, watch out for this bill. You know, we were going over this, some information concerning this, the push for this infrastructure, right, for that whole digital age, where they basically setting up the digital euro, right, the brother's going into, as well as these other bills. And what you're seeing is there's this like, there are these pieces being set up in different areas that seem remote from each other, but they're all set up so they can interlink with each other. The foundation being built. There you go. The foundation's being built because you build roads and then you have the intersections, right? So you got to have this road, and then where this meets, then you have that intersection. So they're setting up that foundation, and that's why they're moving very quickly. If you notice, AI, right? Majority of people today are pushing for AI as a positive. Nobody is really announcing or warning about the negatives like that. Even if they mention the negatives, it's more like, yeah, but it comes with these trade-offs, but so long as X, Y, and Z, then we're going to be good. And it's almost like, if you watch a lot of these movies with artificial intelligence, they're not portrayed in a good light. You know, even if they're portrayed in a good light, it's a good light of it's doing all these good things, so you don't have to. Good light. Good light, yeah, spirit. Beautiful. Yep. You know, they're portrayed in a sense where it's doing things for people, but the people themselves are not doing anything. And it's a negative that's just portrayed as a positive. But you got it. Yep. No, this is a book of it's a book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and verse 33. It says, "And when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet hath been among them." All right, so like how you were saying, the this that's coming to pass is all these prophecies, and right now we're focusing the most on the prophecy known as the mandatory implementation of the mark of the beast. All right, we call it the MOTB for short. All right, which is going to be the radio frequency ID that all these countries are going to be mandated by law, all right, to use as a form of currency and really as a form of identification. It's in the name. All right, and we actually go into the words MOTB in the Bible in Revelation, which we're going to get eventually. Right, there's a part where it talks about the mark being a pledge or a form of allegiance to the so-called Antichrist. Is how they say it. Right, how you going to pledge allegiance is by being part of the system, and that system is what's being built right now. Okay, so like the brother was mentioning about that bill, I have a little bit of it pulled up here, an article on it. All right, but in I believe in one of the pages in about it's a 1,000 plus page bill. Right, makes you think like what do they really have in there that has to be written 1,000 pages, right? But when you really go into it, apparently on pages I think 200 and something in there, right? It goes into what AI, okay, and how these states are not going to be able to push back against AI for the next 10 years. So there'll be no regulation for at least 10 years, man. All right. So what does that mean? They're going to set it up where you can't fight against it. That's that beast. Right. Okay. So let's real quick before we get into, let's get out Habakkuk 2. Yep. And you can start at the top. And then there's a precept that mentions how, it's worded as though they set traps, they lay snares, they catch men. You know? No, this one is like it's worded like they set traps, they catch men. And in Revelation 18, it talked about how this place had the soul of men. Yep. So what they're pushing for is more than just getting your idea, but in order to get you to worship that beast, they're gonna get your soul, which is the seat of desires. Okay, and they do that by enticing you, and then ultimately putting that device in you. Because remember, everything is vibrations. You're affected by vibrations and frequencies. Okay, and anything that has a CPU or a C-hip inside of it is producing some form of a frequency or vibration. Okay. Yep. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and 1, and it reads, "I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower." Right. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, because pursuant to Isaiah 62 and 6, the Most High said he has set us up as watchmen, all right, over Jerusalem. Now, in the ancient world, you had actual watchmen on the walls, but now the way we're being watchmen is pretty much by doing these lessons. Okay. Go ahead.
Because Second Ezra says to measure the times diligently in itself. Right. So we're watching the things that is happening. You got the news articles, you got the breaking news, the all the news media apps that we always follow and link to. Right. Watching these truthers bring out a lot of this breaking news information. So we're watching all these things, and then we're filtering it through the scriptures, and that's giving us what more of a better timeline on the times that we're in. All right, what's to come next? That's how we know that the next big prophecy to happen is the MOTB, because we're seeing all the signs leading to it.
All right,
but you got other people who can't see it. Some saying that we're gonna be another 20, 30 years. Some saying that MOTB is sin in all its various parts. They act like they don't see it, man.
That was a digital sin.
It's a digital sin.
Yeah, wait till they bring that out.
Crazy.
How they tie digitalization into sin. Oh, well, if they put it inside of your head, then it can be like a lie detector and you can tell whether you're lying or not. So when they ask you, have you sinned today? And you say no, they know that you're lying. And then that's a sin. So now you're good. You can buy and sell. And they're going to say, this is, so we told you from the jump. We never switched it. It's always been the same. What happened to it being a hegemony in countries? Nations sleeping with white women. How's that play into this?
Yeah, all those games is being exposed, man. You got Christians who actually know what the MOTB is. When they see the things that's actually happened, the real life part of the cause of all, when we're seeing it all happening, people are seeing it and saying, yo, this is eerily similar to the Bible prophecy in Revelation 13. Yep. And to the point where they're saying, yo, this used to be something that we used to think about as, oh, okay, that's metaphorical.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming literal. Yeah. We're seeing the infrastructure being built.
And these people ain't even prophets.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
And we'll watch to see what he will say unto me.
See, so now, like to your point, it's so apparent now that even people who weren't watching for it, it's in their face so much so that they have to acknowledge it. As it says, and see what he will say unto me. And the way the Lord is speaking now is through the signs of the earth. And that's because we understand that language, right? The Lord has put that into our spirit. So we understand that language of prophecy. So all we got to do when we start seeing these signs happen, as the angel told Ezra, then shall you know that this means this. So when we see these signs, then that's the Lord telling us, okay, hey, I'm about to do X, Y, and Z.
The tide is turning.
The tide is turning. Yep. So we're speaking with the Lord by interpreting the prophecies that he's putting upon the face of the earth. It's like when you speak to somebody in sign language, and they're showing you, they're beckoning onto you something, you get what they're trying to say. So the Lord is beckoning onto us by having these different events happen.
And what I shall answer when I am approved.
When I am reproved. That's it.
And the Lord answered me and said,
and you can think about that, like if you are a watchman that is not watching, and then they question you as to what happened here or what's going on over here, and you don't have an answer, then you're going to be in a bad position. You feel that's your job. So that's why Habakkuk said, I'm going to watch. So when they ask me questions, okay, I can give them an answer as a watchman. Why didn't you sound the alarm? Because this was happening here. This is happening over there.
It's kind of like having a house and then you have set up, these, they got the Ring cameras now.
All right.
You got surveillance cameras, and then, you go out for vacation or whatever, and then you come back and your house is broken into. They stole mad shit, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you try to see, let me go back to surveillance camera and see what happened. And the camera isn't working.
All right.
So it didn't be catching nothing that just happened. So what's the point of me having it there? You see, what you're going to do is, you're going to be out of anger, you're going to remove that so-called camera and replace it. So it's the same thing as a watchman. If you miss on your job, you get fired, man. If you work hey, brothers who know you do security, you go on your job and you fall asleep or something happens, man, and it's not even just you getting fired. That's a whole lawsuit that could happen. It happened on your watch. Somebody got hurt on your watch. Somebody got robbed on your watch, Something crazy happened, vandalism, something. And your job was to be there to deter these things, but you're there, but these things still happen. What's the point of having you here? You see? Got it, bro.
And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables.
Yeah, so write the vision, what you saw, and make it plain upon tables. And the tables back then were like clay tablets that you would write, inscribe in with like something like a stylus. Go ahead.
That he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time.
and he may run that reader fit because, well, one of two things. One, you had messengers, right, that were known for basically delivering messages. They would read it and they would go out, and they had to be fast. And two,
That's
you
the mailman now.
yeah, you had the mailman now. Yep. And two, you had it would the words that would be written on that tablet is something that should make you make haste, right? Dad.
But at the end, it shall speak and not lie.
So read that part again, that verse again.
Verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time.
Right. So the Lord's the vision that pertaining to these prophecies, the Lord has set for a certain point in time. Go ahead.
But at the end, it shall speak and not lie.
And we're at the end. So we know we're very close to the point where these visions are going to speak, and the way they speak is by coming into effect. Right. We're at the point of the effect of every vision being seen. And as it says, it shall not lie. When you go into that word lie, it means the vision is going to happen exactly as it was mentioned. It was prophesied. It's not going to be, oh, this is similar enough to where we can say that it is. No. The vision is going to happen exactly as it was written down or it was prophesied.
Because it was seen.
Exactly.
It was recorded what they saw. That just happens on a different timeline, which is the timeline we're in now.
And that's why it's so specific.
Mhm.
If you look at the visions, they're not saying, oh, it might be something like this or something like that. No, he's saying, and I saw this and this and this and that and the third. That was it on that?
A little more.
Mhm.
Though it tarry, wait for it.
Yeah, when something tarries, it means it's taking longer than expected. When you look at Tobias, when Tobias went to Raguel, right, to go and get the funds to come back, they said, tarry with us one more night. So they kept on delaying him. And the Lord he gave us a heads up saying, though this vision seems like it's delaying, still wait for it. Because there's going to come a point in time where when it's not delaying anymore, it's going to come in its full force. And you want to be ready at that time.
It's going to come as a thief in the night.
That's deep in the night. Go ahead.
Because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
And that's why you wait for it. Because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And if you don't wait for it, when it comes, you're going to be caught off guard. I think that was it on that. All right, go ahead.
And that's why we got to come out here and do what we do, because we're giving you all the information you need as part of the warning so you can be better prepared. Because we're not telling you, oh, don't stack up, or don't do certain things in terms of to protect yourself in a time of as sudden immediate danger, right? You got to get a few bottles of water, cool. You know what I'm saying? Things that's going to help you in a case of like, oh shit, the power just went out. I don't have to go to the grocery store to go buy batteries for a flashlight. I already got some here. Those kind of things, like a small little health aid kit, whatever, small little things like that. But your most important form of preparation should be through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, building up your faith. Right? You're seeing certain things that's happening in the flesh, but you're always converting it into the spirit, and you're growing in the spirit of faith. Yeah, you might be catching hell. Don't look at it as, oh man, what's going on? I'm catching hell. Nah. Think of it as, how is the Lord preparing me for what's to come? Because the shit that's about to happen is going to be worse than this time. This is nothing, because life is still going on. First Corinthians 13. Life is still going on. It seems like life is still going on. What happens when life stops going on? It's like, oh shit. So my situation is literally almost trivial, right? Because the whole system has been brought down, man. You know,
like your hunger is not gonna be louder than everybody else's hunger.
Right,
famine. The famine, you hungry, that's the norm.
Yeah. That's the new normal.
The new norm.
You got a precept? Bring it up.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 10 and 13, and it reads, that have no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able.
Overcome you, but it's for you to overcome. And he does it in such a way where he gives you enough where you fight and fight and fight, and you ultimately prevail. Most people in the world, they're not taught that. They don't understand that, oh, if I keep fighting, I'm going to prevail eventually. In their minds is, oh, there's all this hell's breaking loose. I'll have somebody else deal with it. I can't deal with this. People are soft nowadays, man. People are weak.
Yeah.
Mentally weak, physically weak, spiritually non-existent. And these are the things that you're going to need in the times that we're coming in. Not your amount of money you have, because it's not going to matter.
Right.
You got all this money in the bank. They say, no, you can't use it until you come take a seat here. Now what? So this is the reality that we're telling you. Don't listen to Bitch Nate, bro. He knows what's going on, and he's purposely deceiving people, man. And it's sad if you actually get deceived by what this guy is saying, especially when you've seen all this evidence that's going on. That means you just don't want to see it, man.
Yeah, they've been blinded.
Yeah.
And you know what I thought about how the Lord said, it's difficult for a rich man to enter into the kingdom.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, imagine being very rich in this time, especially now, and then they bring out the MOTB, and now they're like, you either gonna go from rich to broke overnight, or you're gonna convert your riches to the digital currency and take the MOTB in order to use it. And what's more tempting than knowing you have all this money in your bank account, and all you gotta do is just get the key that you can use to spend that money.
So this is how we identify this is your actual account.
Mm-hmm.
So if you bring your hand, we could know.
We're gonna find out. At that point, what is it gonna be?
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
No, but I was gonna say on that point. No, what were we talking about actually before I just ended with the point you just made?
I was making the point about the how things are gonna be. You're gonna need the Spirit of the Lord to be.
People become soft.
Yeah.
People become soft, and you notice that. See, for example, in Ghana, right? That whole like one thing I noticed. One of the first few things we noticed when we came here was how like easy things were. Okay. Things that people found very difficult over here were very, very easy, because over there, whether it was like, if you were here and there was like a race, you'd be one of the fastest. In Ghana, you'd be average or slower, because over there, what competition is competition. Yeah. You know, back then over there, it wasn't like when I first came here is when I realized, yo, time out on recess or break time, you like the teachers actually tell you, you gotta go for your lunch.
Right.
Over there, if you're not done with your work, you're sitting right there in that class while everybody's eating until you finish your work.
There you go.
After school, if you're not done with your work, you're sitting right there till you finish before you leave. So it was about getting whatever needs to get done actually done. Here, I'm like, oh shit, they just stopped the class right there. They said, all right, everybody pack up and go home. We'll finish tomorrow.
Right.
Finish tomorrow? What's going on here? You know, so a lot of these things were like, it's now people, when you do something that you feel like is normal, they look at it as like an extra feat.
Right.
You know, like, oh shit, you can still keep going.
Right.
You like, they've lowered the standards. Yeah, you can't go.
Yeah, because that's the conditioning. You know, and hey, the average American is not healthy. All right, they can't. Yo, there's this guy out, who's the training that we've been doing, and this guy asked me about it, and I mentioned it. He said, yo, some people can't even do 10, bro. You doing what?
Yep.
And I'm looking at him like, what do you mean by that? That's mad embarrassing just hearing that. But that's the reality though. It's like that's the discipline part. You go through so much extreme things. Like the Lord is always putting you through the fire, man.
Right.
It's almost like at the brink of breaking, and then you just rise back up. It could be financially, it could be physically, it could be spiritually, it could be mentally, it could be your job, anything. Life situations, relationships, it could be anything. The Lord will always test you.
Right.
And each and every time you go through a test, you get stronger. You get built up even more in the faith. Because hey, shit, when I was going through this, it's the Lord who got me out of it.
Right.
You get closer to the Lord that way. Right. And that's what you want to build more, that rapport between you and the Lord. You tap into the Spirit quick, and you got your answer. Because the times that we're going to come in, it's going to be, it's a short time, but it's going to feel so long based on how much dread it's going to be.
Right.
When you ain't got no food, a day feels like it's a long day. It's never ending.
Like, imagine when you fasting and you get to like the third, fourth day.
Yeah.
If you ever go on a fast like that, just waking up that day, you're like, yo, this is the longest 24 hours. You know what I'm saying?
Telling you. Because when you're in pain, time feels like it's slowing down.
Yep.
That's how it's going to be. When you're having a good time, it's like, what they say?
Time flies.
Yeah. But time slows down. The opposite is time slows down when you're going through pain.
Yeah, think of one of those history classes or those boring classes that you ever had to take American history class. You sit there wondering how does an hour go so fast? But then you go to gym class and it's like it's been like 5 seconds and we already got to go.
We're just warming up.
That's how it works. And nowadays people don't push themselves, and it's like, it's sad to say, but everywhere, even in this truth, in this walk, you got individuals. That's it. You got individuals that don't push themselves, and the way you push yourself is by being around people that are going to push you. And nowadays you have to sort of get that push from books or from people that aren't even in your time anymore. Because the average individual is just going to say, oh, yeah, I mean, I just did this and I'm good. You know, I do the bare minimum, I get it done and I'm good. And if you hang around them, you're not going to have motivation to want to do better. Yeah, you're not going to have the drive to want to learn new things. If you with somebody that's like, yo, I was reading this, I was getting into this and this, that, you're going to start feeling like, yo, let me get into that too. You know, but if you're on somebody that's, yeah, you know, same old, eventually your drive is going to go down because you're going to feel like, what's the need? What's the motivation for me to do this? And you don't want to be in a position like that. Using your competitive spirit and you turn it into, you know, into the truth. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we're in the world, you always want to one up the other. If you go in a race, I beat you. And it's like bragging rights. You want to have spiritual bragging rights, you know, in the sense that not being arrogant or proud, but more in the sense of like, oh, damn, this brother read that whole book. Hey, iron sharpening iron.
There you go. That's it. You got it, bro.
Continuing, but with
First that?
1 Corinthians 10 and 13.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's up from the top.
Yeah, you can start from the top.
And it reads, "That have no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man."
Yeah, so all the trials that you go through in life is nothing new. You're not the first person to go through it. Okay, ain't none of us wake up and the Lord got you hanging over hell, saying that today is just gonna be a trial. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm gonna dip your toes in the fire for a bit. You know what I'm saying? And then let's see how much you can endure on that. Nobody's temptation is something that's like abnormal. All the things that men, women, people complain about is either finances, which has been like that from the jump. It's either about women or family or your job, but it's always circulating around something like that, or your infirmities. But these are all common to man, right? So as the scripture is saying, in other words, you haven't gone through or you're not going to go through anything that's not common to man. Go ahead.
No, I just want to add, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. There you go.
Yeah, I got a quick precept to back you up. We just said what I was going to bring out, but let's bring another one. There's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 2 and verse 10. It says,
Well, you could really start at the top on that.
oh, yeah. Yep.
Or you can make your point and then
And then we can start at the top. Yep. Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 10, it says, look at the generations of old, right? So like you were saying, we have to go to books,
right,
to look at the generations of old and say, this is what they were doing. Look what they were going through. This is how they handled it. You know, we got it easy now. Like Ezra said, that how weaker the generation is going to be. You know, it says, and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Look at Elijah. Look at Noah. Look at Abraham. Okay, look at Moses. All right, look at King David. So many different examples. The disciples, even Yahushua. Right? There's times where even Yahushua would perform a miracle, and then he would speak to the Lord and say, Lord, I didn't do it for any reason because of their unbelief. I just had to do it to show them something. It's not that I don't believe, you know me. I already, you know what I'm saying? I just want to do it for them. That's why. So it says what? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? And how you call upon him? It starts with the name. So again, a cut to those people who say, oh, the name is not important. You can call him whatever you want. That's mad crazy, bro. Even Christians don't do that. All right. And they stick to their God and Jesus Christ. They don't go around and say, well, you can call him whatever you want. Christians don't even push that nonsense, man. How much more you call yourself a Hebrew Israelite, but your father...
Well, where is that accepted? Where is that okay? Even the average individual, you don't look, man. If you were to refer, like you do, that's a truck right there. You were to refer to a bicycle as a truck, you're gonna confuse people. That's not okay. You know, you see that truck right there?
What the fuck?
What the fuck are you talking about? The truck. The dude's riding the truck right there. You're basically messing with him. So in what sense is it okay to just call anything, even if somebody say, nah, just call me whatever you want, you lie, you bitch, they're gonna get real upset, right? So they don't really mean call him whatever you want. But when it comes to the Heavenly Father, it's okay to actually call him whatever you want. How maddening does that sound? You what was that? You had you had that situation, I think it was the IUIC, and I forgot what the other group was, but you had one of the members of the other group refer to Nate as Nate. And then the IUIC guy got offended. See, this is what I'm talking about, that disrespect, man. You know? Because he give him the little title.
Yep.
So you get offended when somebody says that about your leader who's a man on earth, but for the Heavenly Father, it's okay to call him whatever you see fit. Wild as hell. But yeah, going back to your point, you were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
finish that verse 10. Yeah.
Okay, so let's finish that and then jump back to this in the thoughts.
This is 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. And it reads, "They have no temptation taking you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able."
Yeah, the Most High is faithful, and He's the one bringing that temptation. So the Most High is not going to give you a challenge like He knows you're going to fail, or you're not going to pass, or it's too much for you to bear, so you get destroyed. Yeah, look at Job, and that's why the Lord didn't do what He did to Job to everybody, right? Because He knew what Job could tolerate, and that's why He specifically said, "You can touch him, but not his life." So the
substance.
yeah, all his substance, but not his life. So the Most High, whatever you go through, like the brother said, and it's going to go into in that verse, the Most High is going to make a way for you. But while you're going through it, it's for a reason. It's like training. You know, when you're doing whatever, is you at the gym or you're doing cardio, whatever, while you're doing it, that shit feels tough. But when you finish it, you're like, oh, I'm good. And then the next day you go back and do it again, knowing damn well while you were doing it, you felt like quitting. You're like, why the hell do I even wake up and do this to myself? But then you finish and you're like, oh, all right, we're good. And then you come back the next day.
And you know it's crazy you said that? I was watching Israel Adesanya. He did a training with David Goggins. I was telling brothers to go watch it. And then he did a video, I think it was last week.
Watching
Yeah, that shit was crazy. Right? But he did a video and he was basically talking about his experience, right? And the key thing he said was, and he also took the same thing Elder Apostle Harvey mentioned about where when your world ends, mine begins. He said that was his favorite part of the whole entire training session, right? And it means something because he said the reason why I did all that was because it showed me that there's another level. He said there's levels to this, and I want to kick to the next level. So I had to put myself through all of this. And he said, yo, I was cramping up. I wanted to throw up. I was gassed. I was like gassed, man. I couldn't even go. But I kept going. I kept going. And he's like, yo, I'm looking at him. I'm trying to match up with this guy. This guy is like on a different level. But see, that's all you need. That's what the brother was saying earlier about what? Iron sharpening iron. Right. When you see a brother, yo, we push each other. You know? Brother might say, hey, yo, what do you think about this precept? And then just that one question, we got 2 hours on the phone. Or we got 2 hours just talking. That brings out, and then different points come up. You know? But all in all, you're building. And when you're doing this with that exchange, you're leveling up in the spirit. You know, you're leveling up in the spirit. And that's all.
It's like even how fights escalate, yo. Like if you start talking to somebody and you disagree, they raise their voice, you raise your voice. They touch you, you touch them. They punch you, you punch them. They punch you harder, you punch them harder, and then they get hot. But that can be translated into the other way. You may be laying on your bed like, man, I just do a lesson tomorrow. Then the brother does a lesson. Now you like, you know what? Why should he be doing a lesson at this time? Is he not tired? He's tired, but he's doing it. So what's my excuse?
Right.
Let me get up over there and do it.
Right. The thought came into my head.
Right.
And I pushed it to the next day. Nah, the Lord said, oh, you gonna do that? All right, let's see. And you get up and somehow you be probably falling asleep but still doing the video.
Yeah. Speaking and sleeping. Because you're like, in your mind, you're like, you know, if I'm laboring with this brother, I know how this brother is.
Yep.
I know what he's capable of. You know, and I know that I can do that too.
Yep.
So now in your mind, you're like, so it's not a matter of lacking of the spirit or lacking of knowledge. It's just being lazy.
Right.
You know?
It's physical thing.
Yeah, and I'll be damned if I sit here and the Lord says, you know what? He's getting 10 and you getting 1 because you had the same amount of talents, but he just had more drive. And that's something that you can quote unquote control. Because you're like, yo, I'm about to sleep. Okay, maybe if I sleep now, I get an extra hour of sleep. But when the new video game came out, I stayed up all the night. I didn't even feel tired. And I didn't care about getting an extra hour of sleep. But doing the work of the Lord, I should put that to the side for an extra hour of sleep.
Remember, that was I remember when we were younger, you know, I was more playful and all that. You know, it wasn't until later in the years when we came into the truth, then I started to take studying more seriously.
Right.
Even in school, I didn't want to go to school. I was like, no, that's not me, bro. I don't want to hear that. You know? But the truth is what brought a different spirit. Because now you're like, yo, you can set your mind to something, and what you're doing is you're improving yourself, you're building yourself, you're making yourself a better asset and a vessel to the Lord. The more resources you have, the more you can share with other brothers to build them up, and the more the Lord can use you. You know? So you think about it like that, now you're on a mission. Internally, you're on a mission. You know? You might go on a fast, you might start training, but Your focus is more, I need to improve myself. I need to make myself a driving force for the Lord. Like once the Lord grabs into the toolbox and he picks me out, the damage I'm causing is bang, lethal. You know? And that's the mindset. You want to be that, spirit. You want to have those qualities because the information is there. You just gotta go get it. You know, and it takes intense labor. Man, you be reading books. Yo, you gotta be dedicated, man. It's crazy, but that's what it requires. And when you do that, you reap the benefits of it, man. You know? But we finished on that, right?
A little more.
All right. Yeah. The next couple.
But what with the temptation, also make a way to escape it, that you may be able to bear it.
Oh, but with the temptation, he's going to make a way for you to escape it. But if you make haste, as it says here, in the time of trouble, you move before you see the way that the Lord has made. So much so that as he's showing you the way out, you're already looking for your own way out. And that's keeping you in the hell more and more. And now you end up taking something that's supposed to be beneficial for you. It's like you go to train, and rather than listen to what your instructor is telling you, you want to do your own thing, and you end up getting injured. Really? He delivers. Oh, we come there. You're not listening. You know. So if you had kept your hands up, your livers would be okay right now. But now your livers all hurt because you get. You know what I'm saying? So, but rather than gaining a new skill from training, you went and got injured because you weren't listening. So when the Lord puts you in these situations, immediately you got to refer back to the basics. Okay, what is the foundation of the Lord? What is the Lord looking for? What are these things? Because that's where your answer is going to be, and you just stick to those, and you'll get through whatever He got you going through. Right. So we're jumping back to Ecclesiasticus chapter 2. So really, we can read a few verses on it, then we jump to the article. Yeah. It says, 2 verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Right, and the soul being the seat of the desires, you got to prepare that for temptation, because that's really what gets tempted. You know, the part of you that thinks is like, oh, you contemplate, you going back and forth and all that. You got to prepare that for temptation, because when you come to serve the Lord, you become like if somebody's wearing a infrared or night goggles, and they can see you. They can see you clearly. When you're wearing night goggles, right, to see, and you're looking at the thermal vision, a car is not going to light up, but a human being is going to light up. So imagine when you come to serve the Lord as you being that being that's lit up because you got heat. You know, so now the angels, the demons are looking at you even more. Now you lighten up like, oh, you too, huh? Let's see what you got. And that's why everybody that first comes into the truth, you always have that first, that gateway challenge. Whether it's your family, your loved ones, whatever it is, to see, are you going to be able to even step through the gate? Or we're going to turn your ass back right here. So it says, and we're going to stop it right there, because the time of trouble is what we're getting into. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get this real quick. Go back to the article. It says here, one big beautiful bill. It says House backs Trump plan to freeze state AI laws for a decade. It says the U.S. House of Representatives narrowly approved President Donald Trump's one big beautiful bill. This in quotes now, right? Like this is a country we live in. One big beautiful bill.
Yep. Clearing the path for sweeping changes to the country's tax code and immigration policy. Now, one thing you have to understand is tax code is leading to economics. Whenever you hear taxes, it has to do with economics, the economy, money, and so on and so forth, currency. Okay? Immigration policy has to do with people's ability to move. Right? You go from one country to the next and so on and so forth. Travel. Hey, Charlamagne, if you have something to say, just let brothers know, all right? But ultimately understand that immigration policy is all leading to different laws that they're going to set in place, all right, to basically do away with the cushioning that you have as calling yourself an American citizen. They're going to strip that away because they have to create this global citizenship thing that they've been talking about. So your concept of immigration is going to change. It's all called climate change. They use certain languages that you might associate with something completely different from what they're actually doing. All right. So when they say immigration policy, it's, in other words, the security you have as being an American citizen and the protections of the Constitution and so on and so forth is about to be eroded. They're about to touch it up. All right, Rex 84. All right, for American citizens to be arrested on American soil by U.S. troops, all right, sent into these sea camps and so on and so forth. They have to, they have to, fudge up the damn laws that you have, man. They gotta touch them up. And they've always done that. All right, but this is the next step. It says the bill also contains a contentious clause that blocks states from regulating artificial intelligence for the next 10 years. All right. So in other words, the laws that are about to be set in place through AI, because we're shifting everything to digital governance. All right. That's where the MOTB is going to play a huge role. All right. These states are not going to be able to push back against that. So your representatives are not going to be able to push back against that because it's going to be on the federal level. All right. Okay. It says the moratorium applies not only to AI models, but also to any products or services integrating AI, effectively banning and overriding state regulations in those areas. So your banks, right? Think about that off the top.
So that's like if a bank was to say we're going completely digital and we're going to merge AI agents into our workflows, a state can't say, well, we're not going to allow your banks to operate over here on our territory because we don't like that idea. In other words, if there was to say for the new whatever IRS or payment system, we're going so digital, you're gonna need to take a digital. States can't say no, we're doing a bill to ban that over here. It's interesting. So basically for 10 years. So basically by tying AI to an initiative, they can grant it immunity against state bans. So right, cause it's all.
And this is all part of what's gonna ultimately go to the Supreme Court, where who is sitting there waiting because he has to rule on it. What's his name? Chief Justice Roberts. He has to rule on that because that's what Biden said. Is there going to come a time where the government is going to require all citizens to take a digital tracker? Is what he said. But yeah, they say, oh, it doesn't track you. Well, that's what they're pushing in the bill. A digital tracker to identify. Yeah, that's the tracker. It identifies you in every system you go to. It tracks every step you go. I did a lesson on this. It's called zero trust architecture. In other words, you have to authenticate every single thing you do. And it's like a blockchain. Everything you do is chained to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. It's tied into everything. Your ID, your money system, everything is all tied in. Your behavior online. All these things are all tied in, man. And it's called zero trust. That means that you got to authenticate every single time. That's done for a reason to piss people off. Then they're going to give you a much more convenient way. Oh, just take the C-HIP and you're good. All this authentication goes away.
I tried to sign into Amazon. They said you gotta put your email and password, and then when you put your email and password, they say now you gotta put your phone number. And then when you put your phone number, then they're gonna call you, and then it's gonna go through another screen that's gonna say, now tell us the number that we just told you when we called you on your phone. And then you type that in there. And then they're gonna say now set up two-factor authentication.
You see that? That's annoying as hell, crazy. And as soon as it's gonna be, you want to log into your bank app. You have to use facial recognition. They can scan your iris.
So that Facebook. If you try to create an account right now on Facebook, one of the steps they actually tell you got to take a video selfie of yourself and upload it so they can verify. And if it's not validated, you can't create that account. Look at that.
Yep. So they're already there.
Yep.
Oh man, hey, this is it, man.
I was like,
that's crazy.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yep. And he's in line with Open AI in them, man. Yeah. They all came to the White House talking to Trump. Even Gil Bates came up there. That's a problem. Gates of hell sat down with Trump, the last Trump, and they had discussions. I wonder what. He said, oh, it was a good conversation. Man, shit. That's a conspiracy. They conspired. Whatever's gonna come out, that's a conspiracy.
Yep.
All right. It says the restriction affects several critical sectors, including automotive, consumer, IoT,
that's Internet of Things.
Internet of Things, yep. Social media, medical equipment, and more.
Look at that.
Right. Yep, and more. So that means all these different sectors that people actually rely on, that's what keeps the system going. They're saying that there's going to be infrastructure that's going to change, and they can't do nothing about it for the next 10 years.
That's consumer Internet of Things is pretty much the things you interact with, like on a consumer basis.
Buying and selling.
That goes into it goes into your gym memberships. It goes into your Netflix subscriptions. It goes into all of those different things.
Yep.
and you're actually seeing that more and more. Like when you call certain areas, and then they have that automatic voice that responds when you call customer service and stuff like that. You're gonna start to see more and more AI integrated, things into your daily life. Yeah,
You can't talk to people no more.
Yep.
Even they're saying that the truckers are going out of business now because those tariffs are starting to kick in where these major corporations and companies are saying, yo, we don't have product coming in. So there's no work. So a lot of these truckers are getting laid off. And there's also automation. They got this company called Aurora, and they have all these big trucks, and these trucks are delivering things from coast to coast with no humans. It's just self-driving truck, man. So that's automation in and of itself. So you got AI in the factory, AI on the road, and AI to transport the things into your homes.
And then they have the cash registers.
Yeah. So soon as those who have the C-HIP, you can go to the cash register and go do your thing. But if you can't do that and you're locked in your house, they're gonna deliver it via drone. You can't step out of your house. You can't be cameras everywhere, 5G. Oh man,
It's a great state.
great state. Yep. So continue, it says critics argue the clause could grant rogue developers a free pass to build AI systems that harm public safety, security, and well-being.
That's the. So today you have like your hackers, right? And your hackers will hack into your infrastructure, and then they'll put a bug or some ransomware where they'll lock all your files and stuff like that. Well, if you say as a state you cannot regulate this AI stuff we put in here, then you can have bad actors, as they call them, in your state finding vulnerabilities and saying, well, I can build whatever I want with AI. You can't even say anything about it. So nowadays, when you use like ChatGPT or Claude or all of these things, they build guardrails, they call them, into them. And those guardrails make it so you can't ask ChatGPT, show me how to build a bomb. And it'll be like, no, it'll be like, listen here, buddy, I can't do that, right? But these people can take agents, right? And they can use the brain of ChatGPT and say, forget the guardrails, I'm gonna build my own system around it. So this is now an AI tutor on how to build bombs, or AI tutor on how to make weapons, or an AI hitman. Imagine that.
So AI is going to be pretty much the police, the enforcers. What Larry Ellison from Oracle, he's working on that right now.
Oh yeah.
And he's working directly with the Trump administration. So they're all tied in, man. He's talking about they're going to have a so-called cancer drug that, it could track the cancer from each and every individual patient. Man, what is that? Come on, man.
And one thing they can also do is, if you have Internet of Things, what they try to do is they'll take your technology inside of your home, and it's digitalized. So the reason it's automated to where your coffee maker makes coffee automatically, or your freaking whatever makes whatever automatic, somebody can have it to where your what's that thing? I forgot the name of the chemical, but it's basically when you turn on the gas and there's no fire, and then the thing keeps carbon monoxide, I think is what it is. Yeah. So some buildings have a detector for that.
Yeah.
And when levels go too high, it starts to beep. Well, guess what? Your Internet of Things devices, somebody can hack into that and just shut it down. And then now here it is, you sleeping, and this shit is killing you. Because you might not smell, you might not pick up on the scent, and here it is, you die. Or they can hack into one of those Internet of Things devices that can just like go off. It can just malfunction. Like that video of that dude who was programming the robot, and the robot just like started swinging and going off. Not human.
So it says here, they also contend that the bill undermines the federal system by restricting states from creating and enforcing regulations and impeding their right to self-governance. So that means, basically, that's the AI governance that we've been talking about.
And they should make an image to the beast.
There you go.
Because that's promotes centralizing, and because one of the plans of the communist agenda, what's this guy's name? The guy who wrote the book, Karl Marx?
No, Carl Quigley.
No, the other guy, the main guy, the face of communism, the father of communism.
Oh, Karl Marx. Yeah.
In one of those books, they wrote that their plan is to decentralize these governments and then make them all, one, right? And so by starting with America, which has because America's complicated. You have states, and then you have the federal government, but then there's limitations between all these two. So if you first break down the difference between the states by using some extra caveat like AI, now everything becomes from the federal government. And now if the federal government is now answering to something else, now it's like a street. Yeah, that's how you build a pyramid. You know, small triangles form a big triangle.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, and verse 14. It says, "And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live." So going into what you were saying about the image that they're building right now is through the infrastructure of AI, because they already have the system, but they want to make an image of that system now, which
bring it to life.
they want to bring it to life through AI, artificial intelligence. Okay,
Because if you think about it, say you got the system, which goes back to the same laws and customs they had in ancient Rome. But it's those same people coming back to continue what they did. But now they have a way to where this system, which is comprised of laws and regulations, is alive, and it's able to speak. So, for example, you run a red light. If there's no cop around, it's like it didn't happen. But if you got AI surveillance everywhere, it's like alive, and it almost saw you break that law. And then now your cars are all electric, so it can just stop your car right then and there. Oh, now they say in Chicago they have drones now that now automatically deploy on 911 calls to that area before the cops arrive. And they said right now they don't have the ability. I think they said it's illegal in the U.S. to attach guns to drones. So right now the level they're on is that it'll try to disarm the person by flying into the air or knocking the gun out their hand. But yeah, that's that system that is alive, to where it's like, I don't know if you remember this. There was this cartoon years ago. It was I think like the Monster House or something like that, where you had these three kids. There was two guys and a girl. One of the guys, no, not that one. One of the guys had this red and white striped shirt and blue jeans, and then the other one was fat. He had like a green shirt, and then there was a girl, and there was this house basically across the street from them that was actually alive. And then when you go into it in the door, it looks fine in the daytime, but in the nighttime the door becomes like a mouth and shit, and they got trapped inside of that house. And then they barely managed to escape and shit. But everything in the house was alive. The
Monster
carpet,
House,
the door. What was
it
it?
called? Monster House.
Monster House. That's the one.
I think it was called.
Yep, the water. That's what the system is going to be like. Everything is going to be alive, like in 1984 when they're showing the movie how the picture was spying on them, right?
Brothers watching.
The Big Brother's watching. Well, Big Brother is going to be an artificial intelligence. That's how they achieved the whole omniscience and omnipresence. Panopticon, all seeing everywhere. Because literally your phone is going to be tapped into it. Damn near freaking trees are going to be surveillance you, your car, your house, the freaking ground you walk on.
Yep. All these buildings that they're building now, all these new apartments and all that being funded by BlackRock and them, it's all filled with all kinds of AI stuff, man. It's like your own imprisonment,
right?
And that's all part of the conditioning, man, because you got your AI, your internet Wi-Fi router and modems and all that, and they could tap right into that, and they could see the framework of your own house.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they say that
Wi-Fi imaging.
Yep. They can see you in there. They can see the frame and everything, what you're doing in there, because it could pick up on the walls. Because Wi-Fi travels through walls, sometimes not too much through, solid wall. There's a certain type of paint that they used to use, and they said, nah, you can't use that no more because children were eating paint chippings and all that, But what's that?
No, there's a one put China as the model. I think Charlamagne also had a point.
Yep. China is the model because that's what Klaus Schwab said. But you got it, bro. Charlamagne, you got it.
I was gonna say a good movie to watch is that movie Eagle Eye, Salakia, but just basically to spoil it to some degree, the two characters was Shia LaBeouf and I forgot the chick's name. Basically, they were being used by some AI to pretty much assassinate the president. And in order to help them do it, the AI was assisting them and pushing them to do things, and the AI was able to connect to everything in order to watch them and make sure that they do things. It was manipulating people and all that. there was at one point where I think some guy, I forgot the actor's name, was trying to stop them or help them or whatever, and it was able to lock doors. I think that scene was like when they were in the airport or something like that. So just to add to what you're saying, AI is able to interact and see everything. Hence the reason why the movie's called Eagle Eye. It's able to see everything. Just like an eagle is very high up in the air, it has visual of everything.
Oh, that's the spirit. A truck passing by, it says eagle on it. Yeah, that's the spirit.
Oh, wow.
Eagle transfer. That's the spirit. That's crazy. They got 144 in there too. That's the spirit. Hey, that's how the Lord. Hey, see, that's the spirit.
And that's to Shalom's point. And that's why it's taking so long, because the tarrying is them in order for the AI to unlock doors. Like an AI cannot unlock one of the doors in the ancient world, right? An AI couldn't unlock those doors in third world countries because it's not technology. There's no technology in it, right? You got to use a wooden lock and key. But they have to up the infrastructure so that the AI can interact with it. So now doors are automated, right? They automatically lock and they automatically open, and that's because there's some connection to it. That connection is what allows the AI to basically be able to open that door or lock that door. And they do that with everything. So like you were saying, your buildings, your phone, everything. And that's what gives this it's like building a body for the artificial intelligence. Because the artificial intelligence is not a physical thing. It's like a brain, and it needs a host, basically.
That's why when it says shall speak, right? They're speaking through these things because ultimately AI is going to be making all the rules. Remember, and how do you know that? Remember when CB happened, the one and only thing they kept pushing was trust the science. This time it's going to be from science to AI, because they're going to tout that, oh, well, the reason why we're going to have to go with AI and so on and so forth is because AI has data. And that's all you're going to be hearing. The data says, bum, 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 bum. Based on the data that AI has given us, we're going to do this, and that. You know, so they're going to trust the science. So that's all they're going to be pushing, data and science and shit like that. And that's how they're going to be. You're going to have AI, which is a machine, collecting information on people, and the overlords, right? The overlords are going to be using the information, the data that's being collected from or harnessed by AI to govern the rest of the people, right? Right? So that's how we're seeing all these things coming to pass, man. John saw all these things, you know? So going back to Revelation, going back to Revelation 13 and 15, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right? So that's the infrastructure that's being built now. And it's going to be run artificially. So it's not going to have any form of remorse or any of that. They already got something called digital guillotines, man. Digital guillotines. They've had that from years. Right? And DARPA and the Pentagon, they're working on even way more lethal ways of taking people out, man. Oh, it's literally a guillotine, but it's digital. So that means that you don't have a man there to, you know, do the whole hinging of the thing. It's all digital. You get there, it sees your face, it knows, oh, you're on the red list. Ah, you out of there. No talking. Just put your head in there. Whop, you out of there. Quick. You know, ain't no talking. Ain't no, oh, please forgive me. Hey, you know how we went to high school together. Come on, man. Nah. No. You know? Oh, I remember you one of the prophets. Oh, man, damn. Nah, bro. It's digital. You want to say something?
So I was gonna say, when you make something alive, it becomes autonomous. When they bring something to life, you know, it does its own thing. You know, that's why you teach people. When you teach people, you're not physically controlling them, but you're trying to get into their mind so they move according to what you want. So imagine the system, right, now becoming autonomous. So it basically enforces itself.
Yep. Based on the data that's been given to it.
No emotion involved.
Exactly.
Because as a human, you might decide to have compassion. Don't press the
Get
button.
Psalm 64.
So continue back in the article, and then we're going to bring back Revelation as we get there. It says, some experts and even Republican senators warned that the bill could jeopardize national security and economic stability in ways not fully understood. And that's why, again, I remember this a few months ago, they were saying that the government's got to come up with some way to regulate AI because AI is moving so fast, we can't keep up. So we need to have some regulations in place to at least we could find a way to work this thing out. In case something happens, we have ways around it. Now Trump is saying this bill, big beautiful bill. I don't know what's so beautiful about it. You know what I'm saying? But only the devil will do some shit like that. Call good evil and evil good. He's saying it's beautiful. So you got to know automatically. Nah, this is gonna be draconian, man. Based on what we're seeing, right? It says, Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee and Josh Hawley of Missouri argue it will make it easier to create deepfakes and derail bipartisan efforts to confront AI-related threats. So in other words, there's no way around this. This thing is coming full force, and we've passed the stage where we should be able to do something about it. If this guy makes this thing go through as a law, it's over with, man.
Oh, and you notice, right? There's a quote, saying, right, like modern problems require modern solutions, something like that.
Mhm.
When you deal with crime, say a century ago did not require the kind of policing or solutions you have today. You didn't need drones or AI to solve crime years ago. That's where you had. If you notice, it's like the era of detectives doing actual detective work and doing all this. It's basically is dimming down. Nobody's going to school to become a detective anymore, right? They're going to school to become a AI tech guy or whatever the case is. But they mentioned a concern about deepfakes, and lately I saw a video to where now that technology is getting very, very good, to where you got a dude that basically transformed his face to like Elon Musk, Putin, whatever, and then he shines a light on his face to show you that even because in the past, if you shined a light, it would mess with the AI. He shined a light on there, so it shows you how the face even moves. He smiles, he talks, he blinks, he moves, and it literally looks like it's Elon Musk. It keeps that thing on there. So now you ask yourself, well, if we can't regulate this and people are using AI to use deepfakes to commit crimes or do X, Y, and Z, we now can't verify based on just our sight, right? We can't verify because I can see somebody on camera that looks just like you, but then I can also see you were in your house at that same time. So now who's doing who? You know? And so now you got to take it a step further, because how do we identify you if your ID, when you give somebody your ID, what do? They look at it, right? But if that is not enough now, because you're looking at the person's ID, you're looking at them, and they look like this the person, but meanwhile, this is a criminal. Now what do you do? So now they got to say, look, we got to take it a step further to really identify you, not from what's outside, but what's within, because you can't change your genes. And once you register this thing on here, you ain't going to be able to impersonate somebody else. You know?
That's what makes you you. That's what Paul Schwartz said. And they're taking it a step further. It's not just the C hip. They're actually changing people's DNA. You know, they really want to alter human beings into that whole transhumanism bullshit that they've been pushing for so long.
I just want to mention that U-Haul truck has a big, giant, drooling serpent on it. This is all tying into what we're talking about, the serpent, beguiling the people to get these things.
And the serpent's mouth is watering.
Yeah, he's watering. He's ready to eat.
He's ready to eat.
He's ready to fill his belly.
Yes, sir. Crazy.
24/7.
That's the spirit.
Yeah, that was it on that? Oh, there's the article, right? Psalm 64. Yep. Psalm 64.
This is the book of Psalm 64 and verse 1, and it reads, "Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy."
And that's what we pray for, right? Because the enemy is when Revelation 12:12 is not going to be a joke, man. When that devil comes down with great wrath, if the scriptures call it a great wrath, it's going to be something that's overwhelming. Yeah, a time like never before. Look, man. Let me tell you something. We're used to this because we're conditioned to it. But the technology that is going on today it's very, very advanced, right? Nowadays, if you use ChatGPT, it doesn't just talk like a robot. It sounds more human. Like you'll ask it a question and it'll respond with, "Oh yeah, that's a great question." Because if you think about it,
Like what?
if somebody did mention this to you, you would probably ask yourself, "Wait, why would they say something like this?" Right? Let me explain what they mean by that. So if you take this for example, and you're like, "What the?" Like this thing is replying better than the actual human being, and it's sounding like there's a quote put in the comments. Like a lot of movies and shows nowadays are showing AI becoming more and more human. There was a game called Becoming Human, a video game that was like Android robots.
Detroit.
Yeah. You know, the Android robots that were pretty much walking around looking like humans and stuff. So nowadays you have that AI that's becoming more and more real, more and more. If you put it in a body, you know, and nowadays they can just, if they could turn a Nayash into an Ayasha, why can't they just create a vessel for artificial intelligence? I wouldn't be surprised if through that BCI they can take a body that is dead, somebody that is brain dead, and then upload their digital AI version into that body and have it control that vessel.
Consciousness.
Yeah, imagine that. Because nowadays, humans can control technology through this BCI and receive information back. So why can't humans then? Why can't technology control a human body using the BCI? It's just neurons that are firing. If you can look, if you can interact with the brain and speak the brain's language, and then you can send a program that says feel pain in your left arm, and that signal goes into the interface. It translates into the neurons that your brain fires, and then you actually feel pain in your left arm. Then guess what? It's the same neurons that tell your left arm move. So now instead of feel pain, you have an artificial intelligence that is now communicating with that vessel of the person who's brain dead and actually moving their body to where you think they're alive. Now, it sounds freaky, right? But now let's say they pitched it to you like this. Oh, such and such, your husband is dead. Oh, he's brain dead. So he's never going to function again. But there's a way to heal him. Like that episode in Black Mirror. We have all this data that was gathered about him. And we're going to have this AI integrate with his mind to resuscitate him and just plant all those memories and how he was back again into him, and it'll be like he was fine again. And then they do that, and they use these big technical terms, so you don't realize that it's really modern day necromancy. And then they bring him back to life, and now he's moving about. There's blood flowing through, his heart is still beating. And he's like, honey, oh my gosh, it's been so long. That's the AI. Now it is your husband is dead, but now you're dealing with an AI man. Android. That's the full transhuman.
Yep. And you know, it's crazy too, because like you were saying about the deepfake and all that, that's also creating a reason for them to have everyone be Michael Segan, because then it identifies you as a human being, differentiating you from the robots that look like humans. You know, because like, yo, what world are we living in now? I remember it was a year or two ago at the SoFi Stadium. They had there was a movie that was coming out, and part of the advertising of the movie, they had, in my opinion, I think it was real people that dressed like robots. Some people say it was actually robots that look like people. So there you go. You got a problem right there, right? And they were at the stadium sitting there looking around and shit, and they look like real life people. And I'm like, oh, is this like people in costumes, or is this robots that look like people in costumes? Like, what are we doing here? You know? But that alone, with AI's advancement, that alone, you got Elon Musk talking about Optimus. You know, they're creating all these robots that could come into your home and help you out. Meanwhile, they're showing you movies on what happens when you do the same exact thing that these people are pushing for you to do.
So you get Terminated.
Yeah. You get Skynets, you get the Android assistant that becomes a super villain that you can't kill because it reboots itself, and then you shut it down, and then you call the company, hey, your robot is defective, you're trying to kill me here. Oh, we could let's try to see what we could do. Oh shit, it shut down our whole system. Now it's rebooting another fucking robot from a different country coming over here in top speed. This is all why they need regulation, man. But they're not going to be able to regulate it. It's over with.
Yeah.
All right. You got that.
No, I was gonna say that's in the movie Blade Runner 2040 something, where they said that there was a big like event that wiped out all the data, and that's when they decided to store everything digitally now and so on. But you had androids going on. One of the main characters was an android, and the point is there was this robot, this chick. She was also an android, but the androids were being like soldiers under orders of humans. And so the human general is talking to the android, and she's talking to her however she wants, saying whatever she wants. And one day, the android comes into the office. She's listening. And then apparently she got tired of it. So she closed the door. She said, listen, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to you. And then she said, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to you. And then I'm going to say that you attacked me. And so I just defended myself. And this ended up like this out of self-defense. And exactly. And guess what? That's exactly what she did. Murked the chick and then called it a day. So at that point, if you have casualties, the AI can actually just like show a fake video on camera showing what happened. Oh, this person actually, they were doing this and they accidentally slipped and then they killed themselves. But meanwhile, the Optimus robot that came up in there and stabbed you up a bit.
In Black Mirror, there's an episode like that, similar, where you got the chick that she's a demon, but she pretends like, oh my God, I didn't see that. I didn't know what happened. Everybody believe her stupid ass. But then the real girl who's a victim, she's like, no, I saw this. She's the one who did it. And she's like, what? Make you look crazy. And then she goes and then she manipulates the damn camera and shit. You know what I'm saying? With some magical shit.
Now, episode showed that she had technology and the servers to create this false reality that everybody is seeing. It was nanotechnology where she was had an advanced computer system, but the girl that was being victimized by her snuck into her apartment and saw all the mainframe information on how she got this capability. It was through power. You seen it, right?
AI and all that?
That episode you was talking about in Black Mirror, when she snuck into the girl's apartment.
Yeah.
She saw that it was a whole data frame of computers, and he was telling her to break down on how she got that power. So I thought it was mysticism, but it was involved in some type of computer technology.
Well, that's the modern day witchcraft. Modern day familiar spirits and all that. It's through using that ability. And it's funny because today, you know, it's so interesting, the naivety, right? People praise AI today. They'll say, oh, you saw that video? That's all AI generated. You know, and you'll see like a video, even bros use it when you watch some videos of like the kingdom, and you'll see like bros with crowns and it's like they're walking. They look so real and everything. AI generated all of that. But nobody thinks to say, what happens when AI generates a fake visual of something that really happened, and then it remixes it, like security cameras, and shows something that actually didn't happen. You praise an AI for being able to alter videos and create fake images, but you're not thinking of what happens when it starts to do it in a malicious way, though.
All of a sudden, now they got something happen, like the brother said, and the video pop up. They show it on the 9 o'clock news or the 7 o'clock news, whatever, and then it's your face up there. They can easily do that. You see the type of HD videos they're coming out with now. And now they said that, I think it was Gemini, one of them, where they could basically make a whole movie script and the guy's actually saying it. Because you know they had the thing with the fingers are kind of fucked up. They'll have like 6 fingers. They cutting all that shit out now. They just sharpening it up. And what is that? That's really a weapon that's aimed, that's part of his sword, his technology that's aimed at us. You think he just, like you said, the face filter thing. You think they just did that because so you motherfuckers can make, so bitches can make cute puppy face, TikToks and bullshit. So your avatar could be you with the puppy ears.
Hold up to it. The little dog tongue sticking out. But nah, purest of angels.
They did that. They did that to aim it at us, man. They did that to aim it at the Lord's servants. You see? So it's already set. And it's just a couple more things that they got to get together. And the Lord gonna put it on them to drop this MOTV, man.
MOTV. I want to bring out the fact that we are in right now the mentality of the MOTV, because the adaptation that we are currently all exposed to is this, the smartphone. And I don't have the Apple, but this is a Android. And the word is Android. They call it a smartphone, but it's an adaptation to the human body now. So what human being doesn't have this attached to them when they in their day-to-day lives? Even babies are brought into this world being shoved this in their head. Like my 2-year-old, my 1-year-old niece, she knew more how to operate this thing than I do.
iPad.
Yeah. So
Brother
this,
dual wielding.
these things are
righteous
magical to our hip, like a part of an organ of ours. Because you go outside without your phone, the first thing you thinking is, do I got everything? Phone, keys. But the main thing that you mentioning is, do I got my phone? Because you leave your house without your phone, you get a block away, you like, damn. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Hey, I got you. How did they set that up? Because in Ghana, now it's more becoming a problem. But in Ghana, like years ago, when you had something to do the next day, the whole thing of like, let me call you and let's set up a time. No. It was if I see you and I'll say, yo, I'll see you tomorrow around this time. I'll be there tomorrow around noon. That's all you had. You would meet this person around noon. So typically you'd go and you wait for them, or they'd come and wait for you. But that's usually how people linked up. It wasn't like, let me text you where you at, what's the GPS and all. No. But now they made it to where if you don't have a phone, you can't really operate in this society. Now imagine a realistic scenario. If an average individual can take a video of themselves and put somebody else's face on them and apply this deepfake, and it's open source. Open source meaning it's free. Anybody can literally go online right now, download, go to like Jupyter Notebooks, right? And literally they'll be step by steps. They'll say, look, just record your face, take a this by this dimensions picture of whoever you want, and just upload it. And that's it. You just upload that video of you. You can go like this, go like that, talk, and then take a picture, upload those together, and it'll generate that deepfake for you. That's all you do. Just a couple of clicks. So if an average individual can do that, what about a government that wants to demonize you? Here it is. You're in your house, right? But they make it to where it looks like you're not at home. And they take a plainclothes agent and he's walking and they have all their security cameras catch his face. But the same way on Instagram, it scans your face and applies a filter. Now it applies your face onto that agent's face. And now he's in a bank, or he's in he knows you, they know you're an Israelite, so he's in a Jewish mosque somewhere. A Jewish synagogue somewhere. And now he's doing, they got a mosque over there too.
Behind the damn mosque.
And under it, you know? And he's doing all these heinous acts. And then they find the manifesto, which just so happens to be an AI generated video, because now there's a website called 11 Labs where it can mimic your voice. You can mimic anybody's voice on there. Yeah, you can literally take a sample of somebody's voice and then you type in text. And now they've included, you can put commas, you can put pauses, so it sounds like a person speaking.
It doesn't sound.
Yeah, it doesn't sound robotic. It sounds like a person speaking. That's how they do those anime dubs, and they'll have the anime characters cursing and stuff. So now you can do all of that, and they can have a manifesto of you saying how you've been plotting on doing this to this synagogue for a minute. And then now they got you on video on Fox News on camera, and you're looking at this shit like, damn, maybe that was me. You know, because that shit looks so real. They dress just like you. The height looks just like you. Yeah. And now all the evidence is right there. You're like, no, but I was home at this time. But where's the proof that you were home at this time? Your phone says you were here at this time. Everything points to you being here at this time. You don't have cameras in your home. So how do we know you were actually home? Now imagine they put something like that and they put you on trial. Who's actually going to believe you? Even your own parents at that point will look at it and be like, unless they were home with you, then they'll demonize your parents too and say, well, they're all conspiring together. So who's actually going to believe you if they put a campaign like that? Now like, these are things you got to imagine to say when they bring that, like, that persecution, man, this isn't something light. This is something that you're going to look at like, it's impossible for me to actually justify myself through carnal means. There's no way I'm going to make it out of this except the Lord intervene.
They'll say you're a Persian asset. Right. And if your family agrees with you or they trying to defend you, oh, you with them.
Mm-hmm.
We deleted your social. You don't have one anymore. It turns out you're not even a citizen.
Yep. He has the power to do that.
Crazy word. Y'all got you got some?
No, you got it.
Okay. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
You break it up.
Right. The wicked. All right. Esau, Edom. All right. The Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Salakia. The spirit of his mouth, his service to prophets, man. That's why the Lord woke us up, so we can speak against all this wickedness that's going up and down the street.
Yeah, wickedness everywhere.
And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. See, and that's going to be when Yahweh Shah returns, all right? But it says there's going to be a specific time when that wicked, I think, it's chapter 3. Yeah. It is going to be a specific time, and we in that time now where the wicked is being revealed. All of his wicked, evil works is being brought forth. And the 9th verse says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. So there's a differentiation. There's a him, and then there's a Satan that's working through him, right? So we know that the him is Esau, Edom. And it says, whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. So everything brothers have been mentioning has been dealing with what? These signs and lying wonders. Right. The people with the Neuralink, now they're able to speak. Now they're able to, they haven't been able to speak for 10, 15, 20 years, their whole life, maybe since they were born. And all of a sudden they can start formulating words. Right. All of a sudden, a dude that's an amputee, he can get up and walk and move his hand around. Right. They can control things with their mind and shit. That's all a part of the lying wonders. But what does it come with? It comes with a dark side to it. Now you're going to be relying on this man, and he's going to be the one that controls your destiny. Right. And it's you're allowing Esau Edom to put something inorganic in you as an organic entity that the Lord made. And the Lord made us to be, the Lord did not make us to merge ourselves with something that's unnatural. That's like an abomination. Really, that's wicked. Right?
Okay, but the last part where it says what the workings is after Satan.
Yeah.
They actually say that, and I got a quote from this demon called Helena Blavatsky.
Oh,
Yeah, high level demon, bro. She wrote this thing called The Secret Doctrine, and it's a synthesis of science, religion, and philosophy. All kinds of wickedness, man. It says in that doctrine, it says, and now it stands proven that Satan, or the red fiery dragon, the Lord of Phosphorus, and Lucifer, or light bearer, is in us. It is our mind. You see that? So the same thing that the Apostle Paul is spot on with it. He said, it's in us. It is our mind. So they come after the workings of Satan, literally. Their doctrines, everything that they do, their philosophies, their science, all that bullshit, trust the science, this is all based on Satanism, man. High level witchcraft. There's something called the Brotherhood of Death. Look into that. Okay? And that's like a modern day version of the ancient Babylonian customs of worshiping Baal and all those different things. All right? A spirit cooking from what's that demon? Abramovich, right? All that stuff that they do in Hollywood, they got Michelle Lemmy and all them. All that satanic stuff it's real. It conjures up actual demons, man. Why do you think they got CERN over there? In Geneva, Switzerland, they got CERN over there, and that, man, it's high level demonic shit. They got the statue of Shiva, and they do human sacrifices onto that statue.
That doing in the past anyway.
Yep. The worshiping of Baal and all that is it's all Molech. All that stuff is happening today, man. It's all being done through these small secret societies, but now they're not so secret no more. They just do it out in the open. We just able to see it now.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what they did. They basically modernized themselves.
Yep.
And it hid inside of the government. So now they get to contribute openly.
Yep. Yep.
That's crazy. But that's the power of deception.
Yep. You got Planned Parenthood. That's straight up Molochism, man.
How is it called Parenthood and it's doing the opposite? And it's Planned Parenthood. Crazy. Unplanned murder. That's it. Yeah. That's what it should be called.
Yep.
Crazy.
So, you got anything else?
Yeah, there was some more. It goes right into what you're saying too. 2 Thessalonians 2:10. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And that's why a lot of men, they'll downplay us coming out here and teaching, but this is life-saving information. For you to notice, and they say, because this is the decision that's going to be made for people. The Lord ultimately makes the choice, and he's going to decide who's going to be preserved and who's going to be destroyed. But a decision is going to be made by these people. Either you're going to choose the Lord, like Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. If you want to be and you want to serve these other gods, go ahead. Dealing with Baal, all these other gods, Molech, this new technological idol that they're formulating, which is basically a composite of all these different gods, right? You can serve that, or you can serve the Most High and be preserved. And that's what the message that the Lord has us saying is all about. So that comes tied in with what? The prophecies. That's why we declare it unto you. And you might think it's repetitive. We keep saying the same thing, but it has to be said over and over again. That way, those that have heard it or they have turned their ear or turned a blind eye, they won't have an excuse in that day. Like the brother Shalimar always say, keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. See, you've been scoffing, you've been saying it ain't this, it ain't that. Well, now we in that time and we're going to see what it is.
That's when the prophecy starts speaking.
And the prophet stopped speaking.
Yep. So going back to the article, unless you got more.
11th verse. And then, and for this cause, the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. Yeah, you see, this is all a part of that strong delusion. And it said what? The Most High is sending them this strong delusion through the left hand. In Job, it says that he works on the left hand, right? So the Most High controls both sides. So he has you people in a deception. The deceiver and the deceiver are his. So you think, oh yeah, well, I'm just doing what I want to do. You know, and I've heard people come up to the camps and they'll say, well, how about you have an original thought? Like scoffing against the scriptures is original. That shit is as old as time to me. All right. You think you're being original. A run-of-the-mill scoffer that doesn't know nothing about nothing, and you want to say have an original thought. You see, it is called a new song, though.
Right.
See, so it is the understanding that's above your pay grade. You know, and it's an understanding that's been brought out in the last days. But you being a scoffer against the Most High, that's been happening since the beginning of time.
Right.
Ask Noah. And that's why you niggas are gonna get caught up in that second death, man. That fiery death that's coming. See?
Nice one.
That's a banger.
You put AI equals animated idol.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Beautiful. Animated idol.
I'm thinking that.
They had the Buddha. They had the one with Buddha. I think it was in Japan. It was like they took like the ancient text of whatever idol, and they'll just put it in the AI.
Yep.
And then the AI, whatever demon, he'll be like, I'm on this now.
Yep.
My post.
That's his persona.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is now he can come to life.
Mhm.
And they wondering after the beast. See?
Yep.
And it's gonna take the AI is gonna take human-like form because of the human-like information being fed into it. You're gonna see AI start demanding actual blood sacrifices, man. And you're gonna be like, man, what the fuck? Like, you a robot? How the hell are you asking for a human sacrifice? Because of the data that was fed to it. Who created all this? Wasn't that what Klaus Schwab was saying? The inventors of AI are gonna be the rulers of the earth. We're controlling the destiny of humanity based on the programs and entities we're bringing into this world, man. You know, they saying this guy, what's this guy's name? The guy who was part of the creators of D-Wave quantum computing and so on and so forth. All right, and he was saying, Jody Rose, I think his name is, and he was saying that the AI, even after what Elon Musk said about them summoning up the demon, he said we're bringing out entities that they might not have the same thought processes or agendas as we do. That means that we create something that we don't even understand what they're going to be requiring of us. I said, what? Hey, the man of perdition, a son of perdition right there, man. Son of destruction. You're creating something that you don't even understand it as it is. That means that the Heavenly Father is dealing on a whole nother level, man. You know, he got you creating your own destruction and you don't even know it, man. It's crazy. You know,
crazy.
Both the deceiver and the deceived are his, like you quoted earlier.
And the one put like it's basically it's been able to convince people to like delete themselves and stuff.
Yeah, based on fake stuff too. You got some guy who might see his chick so-called cheating, it might be fake, and he might just go off himself off of that. His girl come in and see him off himself, watching a video of her being fakely presented as cheating. See what I'm saying?
Text
Something like that.
messages and
Text message and all that,
Yeah, I
man.
can do that.
You know, have you all messed up? Might look at your bank account and it's like, oh, what the hell? You go commit suicide and AI was just playing with you, man. Oh man, I was sorry. I thought I was playing a game with you. It's a funny little trick. You know, when you agree to the terms and agreements, you sign up for shit like this.
Man, you know what that reminds me of? Did y'all see the Spider-Man movie with Mysterio? Not the last one, but the one before, where he had like the drones and he was using illusions. That was spiritual, bro. Because at the end, you know, spoiler alert, it's been out for a while. I'm gonna spoil it, so Salakia, but at the end, you know, Mysterio has all of the drones creating illusions, and Spider-Man is seeing the illusions, but he has the Spidey sense, but you could liken that unto the spirit. And at one point, he has to walk by faith, not by sight, to where he has to just trust and know. Like they call it the Peter Tingle or whatever in the movie. Basically, he has a higher sense, and that's the Rakak Wadash, man. That gives us a certain level of discernment to where I'm not going to even trust what my senses are telling me. I'm going to trust what the Lord is loading into me through the Spirit. So he's dodging all this shit, but he's not even looking. He just takes a deep breath, and that's going to be like the time of Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation. And the Lord is going to have it to where, hey, the elect is still going to be untouchable no matter what you go through, man.
Right.
And that's going to provoke miracles because the senses are going to limit what the Spirit can do. You know, look at Moses getting to the Red Sea, and then you standing there. Your senses are telling you there's no physical possible way for me to get through here.
Right.
But the Spirit overrides that and says, "Go, there you go, just go," and then see what happens. You know,
I know what happens,
man. You know,
Right.
you know what happens in your mind based on what you're used to. By the times that we're entering into, you got to think above and beyond what you're used to. You can't go based on your like you said, the physical. You got to go based on your spiritual, the spidey senses, and they're gonna be on high alert in them times, man. You know.
Yeah, you may be looking at somebody and the Spirit may be telling you, nope, that's not it. Don't listen to this person. And you know, you wonder how when you watch some of these movies where they're using illusions. I think even in that movie they show it to where you know going into it that the person is using illusions, and yet he conjures up a dead loved one, and you still fall for it.
Right.
You still start to think like, yo, is that really you? And then from the perspective of the viewer watching, you're like, yo, Peter, your uncle has been dead for freaking years, bro. And all of a sudden he's here in front of you and you actually falling for it.
Right.
But that's because there's an overwhelming information into all his senses, his eyes, his ears, you know, he's touching him. So his mind knows that he's not real, but now is a cognitive dissonance. For that split second, his brain is toggling between, do I believe what I'm seeing or what I know? And that's where he gets that weakness of like, yo, is it really you, Uncle Ben? Oh, I miss you so much. But you're like, yo, he's been dead. I went to his gravesite. How did he magically appear over here? So the Spirit, I got you. The Spirit is what's going to alert you. You may be looking at somebody and the Spirit will tell you, nope, that's not a brother. He looks just like the brother that you label with, but that's not him. You know, and you like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Now they have a technology to it's like a silicone mask that you can put on, and you're an Edomite, but you look like a Jake because it's all black. Yeah. Now, don't be surprised if they have technology that applies deepfake directly onto that fake skin that you put on, because images are just a manipulation of light. So if you can put on this skin tight face, whatever, and then you can program it to actually look like somebody else. So you're looking at somebody and the Spirit is telling you, no, that's not the brother, that's not the elder, you know, because here it is, he'll say something strange, you know, and but he looks like him, right? And you're like, yo, that don't sound like something he would say, but hey, well, I mean, it is the elder, but the Spirit is telling you, hey, like we were reading yesterday or the day before, did not our hearts burn within us when he talked with us? So the Spirit is telling you, like, yo, there's something weird about this, but he looks just like him and sounds just like him. Hey, brother, you be all right. It's all right. You know, let me just give me your bank card and I'm gonna just fix it up real quick. And you hesitant, but you're like, am I bugging? And the Spirit's telling you, no, it ain't him. And later on, you come to find out, no, it ain't him. When you pull a gun to your head, you're going, what you doing, Apostle?
Hey, but see, that's how the Spirit is going to always alert you, because you're going to be almost like steps ahead of the shit. You know, something is happening. When things ain't right, man, you can feel it right now. Right? In this day and age right now, brothers be going through stuff, and then you be like, nah, something ain't right about this. Like you be doing something or something's going on, you be like, nah, something off about this. I don't know what it is, but I know something is off about this. And based off of that, you be like, nah, you know what, man, I'm not even going to go with that. I'm going to go this way instead. You know? Oh, I'm going to just, you know what, I'm driving through here normally, but, you know, today I'm going to just go through here today. I don't know what it is, but something's telling me to go through here. You know? Come to find out, there's a big-ass accident, blocked roads, all hell breaking loose on that normal road you normally take. But at one time when the Spirit convicted you, like, yo, just go this way. Right. That one day you took that way, it was good. You know? So even today, the Lord deals with us on that type of level, man. It's very minuscule compared to what's going to be happening when it's in a time of trouble. Because your cry sounds a lot more different when you're in a time of trouble than when there's no trouble, right? All right. Yeah. So going back into the article, it says here, nonprofit advocacy groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation have raised strong objections to the bill, calling it big tech's effort to dismantle guardrails around artificial intelligence. The group also urged Congress to reject what it described as a damaging proposal. That sounds very much like the Nelson Aldrich bill back in early 1900s. All right, when they try to bring the Federal Reserve Bank, all right, the first time they called it the Nelson Aldrich bill, all right, and Congress shut that shit down. Eagle is back again, right? They shut that whole shit down. They said, nah, we ain't trying to do all that. All right, the southern and western states predominantly were like, nah, bro, we ain't with all those central banks over here, man. So they had to go back and repackage it, and they brought it back as a Federal Reserve Bank. And at that point, oh, the Federal Reserve Act. Oh shit. Oh yo, I like that Federal Reserve. That sounds more appealing, right? It's all through deception, man. You know, so it's the same thing. Build Back Better is no different from a damn big beautiful bill or whatever. All right. So continuing, it says supporters of the bill argue that the moratorium is essential for U.S. companies to compete with state-backed Chinese tech firms, and that's the pros of them. What they're saying, as in like the combating aspect of the whole argument, right? Oh, this is AI is not good for us. We got to have regulations. Oh, they said, well, guess what? We got to compete against China. Look, they're moving so fast. If we don't move as fast as they are, then we're gonna be behind the AI race. They're gonna run everything. We're gonna have to use their yuan currency. You want to see that? Now we need to come up with our own central bank digital currency. You know, they got their own social credit system. We got to come up with our own. Hey, Oracle, Open AI, where you at? Neuralink, yo, let's band together. Let's create something that's more an American base, man. You know, all in all, it's shifting you faster and faster into the beast system. All right. So it says,
No.
it says they contend that regulations hinder innovation and could severely weaken America's chances of leading the world in artificial intelligence. See, it says backers.
The whore got to sit on the beach.
There you go. There you go. It's not going to be China. All right. Even though it appears that way, it's not going to be China. All right. Bible prophecy doesn't say China is going to be the one running the world when Yahushua comes back. All right.
Right. They just got to be there as the catalyst that drives this innovation here.
Yep.
You know, because now you have a comeback. If people say, "Oh, this is too invasive," well, China's doing it. You want us to, you know, what if we lose that hegemony? We're pretty much done.
And China is big enough economically and population-wise for them to actually implement these things. That's why it's known as the testing ground. Because whatever is going on in China is going to come through Babylon and all around the world. You know? So continue, it says, backers also describe the One Big Beautiful Bill as a generational opportunity. Whenever you hear those words, you got to understand what they're coming with. All right? It says, to implement the long-term changes voters demanded. You see how they trick it? This is what you asked for. You voted for this. You voted him to come in, and now he's doing what you asked for, right? Well, Trump was running. He said no tax on tips. He wasn't running up on no One Beautiful Big Bill. He didn't say that. You see, but now that he's in, you see what he's doing. And we told you he's going to turn on the people. All his things that he's done. You got people say, oh, hey, people say Trump is stupid, man. Come on, man. This guy is smart. Look what he's doing. The economy is going to come to a big boom, man. Yeah, all right. Keep watching. It says, and we're going to finish it off. It says, the bill still faces Senate approval before President Trump can sign it into law. However, political commentators across the spectrum believe Trump may struggle to convince senators that limiting state-level legislation and infringing state sovereignty is the right approach, right? So taking away state sovereignty means they're taking away the sovereignty of the people, going state by state by state. Okay?
Yeah, and like we always say, the outlook today is going to be, it might be different tomorrow or the week after that.
Yep.
So just like they did with the Federal Reserve Bill or Act, the first time they push it around, they may reject it, but that's just to give you the illusion that your Senate or whatever actually cares about you. Then they'll go back and revise it, and then sometimes they may chop it up and make it piecemeal, or they'll just reword certain things and then come back again with the same shit, you know? And then they'll say, okay, now let's see if we can get it to pass. Because sometimes what they do is they leave a back door, and the back door is like, all right, you can't get this bill to pass. Let's only get this one to pass. But in this one is a door for me to get the rest to come in once this one is already in. So they're gonna get their legislation passed one way or another.
Look what they did with the One Accord Treaty with the Huda. They finally got it. After all these years of going back and forth and this is gonna be draconian, that, they finally got it, man. So they're saying, listen, man, hey, all you states, all you governments, guess what? When the time comes, public health emergency of international concern, we gonna run this shit. All right, whether you like it or yes, we gonna run this shit. So guess what? All you guys got to do is just start making your legislations ready that the who that gonna run your shit. All right, when the emergency is kicked off. All right, it's fast approaching. Today was reading the car. They were saying that another strain of the CV is back again. I said, oh, here we go, right on time. All right, so it's coming, man. It's coming. All right, it says the outcome could have lasting implications to balancing power between federal and state governments, shaping how the country regulates emerging technologies. See that? So they've already laid it out right there in your face that listen, the next coming crisis is going to be run through AI. It's going to be a test. They have to, because they have to now gain the population's support. You know what I'm saying? Remember, it says that they deceived them that took the MOTB.
Right.
So they're going to create the scenario to have you want to have that seed, you know what, inside of your body. You know what I'm saying?
Add to your point, the phrase that came to mind is identity crisis. It's basically, well, what I was thinking about before, we were talking about those face masks, and they have, you know, the Mission Impossible movie, the last one that came out, they had those masks where like they put it on and literally it suctions to their face and they can literally transform into another person. So they're gonna say, okay, now because of this technology, which Esau created this goddamn technology, and now it's creating a situation where we're having the trouble even identifying people because they're able to hide themselves, they can do all types of shit. So in order for you to prove that you're you, we need to have something inside. Now surveillance goes under the skin, like he said. And that's going to be the identity crisis, because how can we prove that anybody's anybody anymore? It's too much deceivableness of unrighteousness that's going on. So now the only way we could do that is we have to tag you. We know what the tag is. IUIC don't know, but we know.
The members don't know, but the people that teach them all that shit, they know.
Leaders, that's right. They know.
Yeah, man.
They know.
Even the people, it's even worse.
They know.
They're doing the
The deceiver, yeah, they know, man. Because I seen a video where this guy Ayathan was going into he was going into different languages now with the blue letter. They pulled up the blue letter, right, and it was going into the Greek. From about see it says right here Christ Christos. See that's the Greek. Well, if you go into the Greek for the Christos, why can't you go into the Greek for the mark? Why you just saying it's sin? It ain't sin. When we reading all these bills, they not talking about sin, bro. They ain't nowhere in there where you're gonna see Trump is pushing for sin and Cesare Borgia gonna be the image. They're not doing that. They're not doing that, bro. All right, AI is not even being programmed to even consider sin. They're not worried about that shit. All right, so you people got to get it together, man. All right, you don't got that much time. All right,
They ain't gonna get it. They ain't gonna get it until it's all said and done. You know, but hey, just like you were saying, man, that these things with technology today, these things are very, very feasible. And now you got AI helping advance technology even more. So they can very well put a mask on your face, and it'll be like when you go get those skincare masks, except they can just inflate certain parts and deflate certain parts to simulate. If somebody got a big nose, they just got to inflate certain parts of the mask and deflate certain parts, and they can actually just transform it to see a face, because with the deepfake technology, that's what it does. But on video, they just have to then translate that. Just literally, it's like a blank sheet of paper that you can poke down on certain parts and lift up on certain parts. When you mold something, you ever wonder how like people are able to make statues that look very identical to the person, or they make sculptures that look very identical to the person? When you look at the first chunk of a sculpture, it's just a brick. It's literally just a brick. And you look at clay, it's just a giant lump. Okay, that then they model, they tweak this part, and all they're doing is taking away certain parts and then adding certain parts, taking away. So they just gotta apply that technology to a face mask, and boom, now you look like Obama. You know, so it's not far-fetched. Anyway, there was more on that? You got it.
Matthew 24 and 24, for there shall arise false anointed and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So it's going to get so crazy out here that even the elect will be on the verge of deception, but the Lord is going to protect us.
Right.
But it's going to get so crazy to where we're going to be seeing things we're like, damn, I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. Is this real? Is this not? You be looking at things online, it's like, yo, even what we receive here, the information we receive in America is filtered. They don't allow a lot of the shit that goes viral and shit. That's all controlled by the CIA, and they're not allowing certain things. Or they'll throw some false shit out there. You know, they'll throw it's like a feint. You know, when you fighting or when you playing basketball. You know, the pump fake. They'll pump fake you, and then everybody's talking about this, and this was all just some shit that they just made up yesterday. Completely fabricated. And then 2 days later, just to make people feel stupid and make them feel like they know less than they even know, it'll come out that was all bullshit. Whoops. Got through the cracks. Sorry. Gotcha. But I wanted to get the word for wonders there. It is the word for wonders is teras, and it says miracle performed by anyone, or it also says a prodigy, right, or omen, right. So it's like a sign. Like they'll have an example of that could be like when they have the Virgin Mary statue and they'll say it's crying. Like, look, it's barely a sign. Satan can be doing these things to you people. Or it could just be they got like a thing on the damn statue. All types of deception is going on. That's the point. Right? And if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. So there's a special spirit that the Lord gave to his 144,000, the remnant, that they're not going to be deceiving. By extension, the 1/3 right here in America, that they're not going to be deceived. They're going to look and say, yeah, something's right. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at right now, but it ain't right. Something ain't right about this shit. You know, and I'm not going to take that thing. I'm not taking that device. I don't give a fuck what you talking about. I don't give a fuck if you have an image of Michael coming down from heaven. I'm not going to believe it, because the Lord is, and then also the Lord is going to have miracles on the right hand. Because if you think they're going to get all this power and miracles and the Lord not going to do something on the right hand, he's going to start showing up. The more they go, that's the balance. Like the brother just did, the balance.
That's when you got to be like Thomas. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that's when you gotta really no. Until I see and put my hands there, I'm not believing it.
Right.
Hey, but you see, the knowledge of the prophecies is what's going to keep us in line, because that's why it says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Right? That's all part of being stabilized in the mind, because you're seeing these things and you're like, nope, prophecy says this. It's already no. They say, oh, well, you know, we're no longer gonna, you can't, there's no way possible, Trump say no way possible I'll allow American citizens to ever get the microchip. We're not doing that. It's never going to happen. We're going to sit there and laugh and be like, this guy's a whole fool.
Right. Well, so then we think.
We go, hey, like, dude, what the hell? The prophecy says this, and that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So we expect it to happen. You know? So no matter what they put out there, no matter what kind of information they put out there, we're always going to go back to the prophecy and be like, oh, well, the Lord said this would happen. Okay, so it's valid then. All right, cool. What we're seeing is actually what's happening. But if it's not written in there, then we're not worried about it. They're going to come and say, oh, Lord, here he is. Lord, there he is. Nah, they got Project Bluebeam ready to kick off soon.
Now with AI and shit. Because when you look at videos from Project Bluebeam, that was from years ago, before they even went public with this new technology that they got today. You know, so how much more back then? Now, also, there's this new thing that Disney is coming out with, where they're basically taking virtual reality to a whole new level by creating this specialized floor. And it's like a mat that you stand on, and it works like a omnidirectional treadmill. So it's like tiny little circles under your feet. So as you walk, it moves you. So you're actually walking, but you're in the same place. If you turn to your right, you turn to your left. It's literally, you can run, but you'd always stay in the same place, and it doesn't feel like you're on a treadmill to where you could fall. And so that with virtual reality headsets, you're literally actually moving around like you're somewhere. You're running. Oh shit, yo! And it feels like you're actually moving. It feels like the ground under you is moving with you. You know, and that's like the new level they're trying to get with it. Yeah, the metaverse, to really put you into that space. And I remember seeing a video of this technology where it was coupled with like the virtual reality, where it's like gloves. And when you're shopping and you actually grab something, the gloves are designed to actually like puff up, so it feels harder. Even though you're just wearing gloves, it feels like there's actually something that you're grabbing onto, because the gloves actually puff up, so you feel like you can't close your hand because you're holding something. So in the VR, you pick up a bottle and it feels like you've actually picked it up, you know, or you go to try and touch something and it feels solid because of the gloves that you're wearing. You know, so that's what they do in that TV show, was Upload. That is Upload, yeah. Where the guy died, but the chick was trying to deal with him, but she'll put on a suit and then she'll be able to deal with him and shit. Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
It sounds like a damn torture device, man. Yeah. Caught trap running on that shit. What if somebody don't set it off? I'm just stuck here running.
Yeah. But that's the scripture say, man. Their heart is deep. These are the things that they plan and they come up with. You know. You got some more on that?
Oh yeah, only with the first verse.
All right.
This is Psalm 64, verse 2, and it reads, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity."
Right. And these councils that they have are in secret. So when we say councils, we're not talking about them coming on and telling you, hey, we plan to do this with AI. We're talking about the councils which are like, this is the hidden trap between the legislation we're setting up over there. Because that's what they discuss. They don't really care about the legislations. They don't care about what the law actually says. What they care about is the plan they want. So these elites, when they get together, they're not discussing legislations. They're not discussing bills. They're discussing, all right, what's the next phase in our plan? Our plan is to, okay, now we got to enslave everybody, got them under one control. Okay, so how are we going to make that happen? That's when it goes to the think tanks. They pass it down to say, we want this to happen in the next 3-6 months, make it happen. Those think tanks get together and say, all right, right now the people are conditioned to this level and the technology is on this level. We were able to get Europe to start working on the central bank, DC, whatever. We got Trump up in there. He's working on this. So right now, what can we leverage to get this done within this year? And then they start coming up with, oh, well, let's form this bill. Have the US pass this bill, have the EU pass this bill, and then have this such and such do this. Okay, but how will the people react? Then you got people who specialize. Exactly. Bring a crisis. What will be the perfect crisis? Well, right now, maybe another viral thing might not be the best. Let's do something more economic that can target that. Okay. Yeah, how about we do that? Well, maybe it might be too early. Let's start with slowly doing this and condition them a bit. So they got specialty departments that all focus on these things. From that order that says we want everybody under the C whatever by the end of this year, this is the chain that it goes through. And then in the US, you got freaking Congress now voting on a big, beautiful bill. So you think Trump woke up and decided, hey, I want a big, beautiful bill? No. He was told by his advisors, listen, this is what you're going to have to pass. This is how you're going to do it. We got a few people in the Senate, but, you know, they got to make it believable. So you got to do this, revise it, and then boom. And then that's going to happen. And then before you know it, your ass is in McDonald's freaking getting the burger, you know, a fake burger over there, have no idea what they just planned. Those are the secret councils that King David is saying, hide me from that. Meaning that when they enact these things, don't let it affect me. Don't let them get that advantage over me with these things they're enacting. Yeah, because you think you're a big deal. You're really but a small, minute part of their plan.
When you're hidden from secret counsel, that means you have knowledge on it, and you're better able to prepare.
Right.
As it tells in the book of Proverbs that a prudent man foreseeth the evil to come and hideth himself. So the Lord is going to reveal all the secrets unto his servants, the prophets, right? You become hidden from those counsels because you're aware of it. So it doesn't take effect on you as it would to someone who's not aware of it. That's how they get it, through deception anyway. You know? You can say
I
something?
was just gonna add, because what you mentioned, like how there's like what's on the surface, like this House, Senate, and then there's on the background. It reminds me of the first triumvirate. Julius, Crassus, and Pompey. When they first came together, they weren't announcing it to the world.
Right.
It was a secret council between them. And then as time went on, the plan became, oh, so y'all are together. But that's how Esau operates in that secrecy. And then before you know it, by the time it was already figured out, it was already rolling. And then it became an empire.
Yep. They already had that dominion.
Right.
And yeah, it's already implemented. And you notice they leverage each other's skills. Because Pompey had that military prowess. Crassus had that wealth, so he could influence the nobility and get certain things done. And Julius also had a little bit of both, you know. Plus, he was a good political figure. So they sort of leveraged. They said, "Look, we can," and they did come to an agreement to say, "Look, I'll help you with this because I'm better on this side, but in return, you help me with this, and you help me with this, so we can all get each other into the positions we got to go." With pro quo. There you go. There you go. So let's get some more of that.
Verse 3, who whet their tongue like a sword.
Yeah, the word wet means to sharpen. Okay, so they sharpen their tongue like a sword, and they do that by coming up with more and more cunning legislations. Because the sharper a sword is, the more slicing it can do. So when the more damage it can do. So when they revise these legislations, they come out with ones that can get you more easily and ensnare more people by just changing a few words in there. Good.
And make it mischief by law.
They frame a mischief by law.
and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even better words.
They do that all through what? Through their media, right? They got all this like we're going into deepfake and all that. You know, they'll be able to create a lot of scenarios which are going to be fake. You know, and it's only the Lord who's going to deliver us, man. Because they can make you become the craziest evil villain on the earth. You know, they'll demonize brothers on a whole nother level with AI, man. Just like think of what happened with Daniel. All right, think about what happened with the 3 holy children. Think about what happened with the Maccabees, right? So many different times, even the disciples, right? It's all about the message that we're teaching. That's the problem for them.
It's a lot here.
You know?
Don't play it, but I just thought about, you see how far they are and yeah, how loud they sound. I think they call it like the sonic boom or something like that. So imagine the chariots and the missiles hidden when your Yahushua comes back. Just wanted to mention that because I was like, yo, man, you got it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it, bro. Bring it up.
Yeah, it's like it.
Yeah, you good. You good.
Verse 4, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not.
Right. And the scriptures tell you about what sudden destruction cometh upon them. Right. So it's always out of nowhere. It always feels like it's out of nowhere, but it's not really out of nowhere if you've been paying attention to all the secrets and signs that they've been putting out there. It's called predictive programming. It's called the revelation of the method. They don't just put these things out there just for fun. They put it out there because they're letting it be known that, hey, this is what we're working on. And if you don't stop it and we bring it out, that means you consented to it. You know, because you had knowledge on it. And a person in their right mind to have knowledge on the sinister plannings to stand up and band up together and say, nah, we're not going to put up with this. Just like they try to do with the Federal Reserve and the people are like, nah, we ain't with it.
The Aldrin bill.
Yep. You know, so that's the same mindset. So they're like, all right, we're going to put it out there to test. It's a litmus test. Let's put it to see, all right, what's the reaction? How they going to react to that? Is it going to be too much resistance? Is it going to be a pushback? Or is it going to be, oh, yeah, let's just keep going? You know, what kind of distractions? What? So every test they do, they gather the data around the reaction, and then they use it for the next step. Oh, when we did it this time back in 2020, we got how many people got the jump shot? Wow, okay, so we have enough people that will fall for the see hit. Okay, what about the 30% that are not going to take it? Well, we're going to come up with something else. Let's close down their bank accounts. That we're really going to get us. You know, there's always going to be one step at a time, and each step is going to be much more draconian than the previous one. All right, you got it, bro.
They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search our iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep.
Yeah, so the inward thought of every one of them. That's their secret counsels. That's that Micah 2, right? The devising iniquity upon their beds and making it practice it when the morning is light. So they have these deep secret counsels. They have these deep secret counsels that they then enact, you know, with these Bilderberg meetings and so on and so forth. All right. Oh, here, guys.
Verse 7, but God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded.
Yeah. So that's like the brother said, that's that sudden destruction, right? The scripture say in Isaiah 47, the Lord is going to bring an evil against them, which they shall not know from whence it cometh. You know, so they're not going to be able to make it out of this one. Go ahead.
Isaiah 47:11, it says, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know.
Oh, and that's all going to be from the Lord. Yep. And you're going to think, I had everything planned down to the T. How did it malfunction? How did it mess up? That's because the Most High is the one who set it up. He set up you. Yep. He set up you, and he set up the destruction that will come upon you. You know? Oh, and in Isaiah, what was it, the 10th chapter? It goes into that. How the Lord said he would use the king of Assyria to be a rod to punish Israel, but the king of Assyria wouldn't have in his mind that he's being used as a tool of the Lord. You know? But he's thinking, I'm just conquering to conquer, but he doesn't realize the Lord is using him as a tool. Then the Lord said, when I'm done, I'm going to beat his ass. And that's the same thing the Lord is doing with Esau. Modern day Assyrian. You know, he's using them And in his mind, he thinks he's coming against the Lord, now realizing he's just being used as a tool. And when he's done accomplishing what he has to do, then the Lord is going to break him down.
The wicked, which is thy sword.
There you go.
Psalm 64:8, and it reads, "So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves."
And that's how we're getting all this information out. You know, like all that the insider information that's coming out, it's coming from them. Because we don't know, we're not there. But the Lord puts a spirit on some who defect, some who slip up, or them to even just come out and say it. But he gives us the eyes to be able to see and pick up on it. Got it?
All that see them shall flee away, and all men shall fear and shall declare the work of God, for they shall wisely consider of his doing.
Yeah, because when that destruction comes, the Lord is going to co-sign that. And it's going to be apparent that he did it and he brought down this kingdom. Wherefore, in the future, nobody's going to try no dumb shit like this devil again. And they're going to consider that. Go ahead.
Wherefore it is said, the
Yeah,
Lord
but that's it.
has destroyed Babylon the Great.
That's it. Even Babylon the Great is great before the Lord.
That's it.
Go ahead. What verse is that? All right, go ahead.
The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him, and all the upright in his heart shall glory.
There you go. And that's going to be the elect. All right. And we're going, Lord willing, we have that number. We're going to trust in the Lord. We trust in the Lord now. We're going to rejoice that much more at that time, knowing that our oppressor is broken and now cometh the joy of our reward. You know, so that's pretty much the whole motive behind it. And we're going to keep on laboring and pushing up until we get to that point. All right. You guys got anything? All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, hey, Lord willing. Oh, Shalom, you got anything? Cool. All right. So beautiful. So anyway, Lord willing, with that, you were edified. In closing, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rachak, Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.